Right.
So the original mission was mainly working with wounded warriors, and now you've expanded through talking with the community, through seeing what other needs are to widen that mission. Working with those two elements, the new element and the old element, how has that been working with those two groups together? Has it been a positive, a negative?
It's all great.
It's gone great.
So, depending on who we're working with in order to plan the event and provide the participants, we really haven't mixed a lot of our events. Our Wounded Warrior things pretty much happened earlier in the season, and from then, once we started getting connections and relationships within the disabled community, that sort of was a word of mouth, and it kind of cascaded from there. And so mostly we were focused on that group, and we didn't really go back and do a lot of reconnecting with the Wounded Warrior community. So that's something that we're going to work on in the future. There's no real reason that those can't blend together. I mean, the adaptive water sports itself, lends itself to any type of disabilities, and so whether it's Wounded Warriors, which mobility issues and loss of limb, we saw a lot of that when we were doing the Wounded Warriors, as well as the invisible wounds. We had PTSD and we had TBI folks come out from the Wounded Warrior groups, and so that really opened our eyes up to a different view of disabilities. And so, again, there are some things you have to consider when you're going out in a very active, very mobile sport like that, and you're dealing with those types of folks.
How are you going to deal with the competition that you're going to get from TJ's Walk? Because that group raised $14 million for a big camp here in Virginia Beach. That, I would think, is going to be a big competitor for you.
Yeah, so we like to deconflict that. We don't see that as a competitive environment because what we do is really very different. And what they're doing, I mean, we looked at the kind of things that they're working on and the kind of facilities that they're putting up and the kind of programs that they're planning to have. And we feel like there's room for what we do to go alongside of what they do as opposed to competing with them. It's a very different venue, very different type of activity. Even though they're going to have a cable park and they're going to have some water sports involved in their overall program, that's not really the focus, whereas that's really, what we do is more of a, I think Dallas calls it a boutique environment, with the lake environment, with hands-on instructors going out with the participants and teaching them and being side by side with them as they ski, having the venue of the entire lake and being pulled by boats. Very different than what they're doing down at the park. So we'd love to sit down and have that conversation with them and see how we can
They can outsource to us.
be more of a partner with them as opposed to a competitor.
And just a quick follow-up, your decision to go away from the Wounded Warriors is a substantial pivot. Well, and I guess my question is with this being such a huge military area, was that, in retrospect, now a mistake?
Well, so it's not so much a decision to go away from it as we're really struggling to find the right connections to get more participants from the Wounded Warrior community. So it's the communication piece is what we're struggling with, not necessarily that we're going away from them. We've just opened it up and we've got a lot more response from the disabled community that are not necessarily affiliated with the military.
And some of these disabled communities, like over in Hampton, we were there for a sportable day. We'll be at sportable at Old Dominion. Wheelchair athletes, or sitting volleyball, power wheelchairs,
Sled hockey.
sled hockey, yeah, ice sled hockey, and they're all connected. They all know each other. And so that community, and there's some Wounded Warriors within those communities. We had some athletes, Army athletes from Rio, a gold medalist that we met a couple of weeks ago at a presentation. And then we started getting involved in Autistic Society. And that part of the society is growing massively. Birth defects, you'll never stop that completely. Accidents. So we don't want to leave them out, and actually there's the biggest part of it. And some of the vets have kids that have disabilities, spina bifida, that they have a big responsibility the rest of their life. And so they're all welcome. It's no cost.
And so, and we also have a placeholder. So the Wounded Coalition, which is out of Chesapeake, We talked to them at the beginning of the season. They were very interested in what we were doing. However, because we're a very brand new nonprofit group, we didn't meet their criteria for partnership. But they said, hey, once you guys have been in place long enough to meet our criteria, we'd love to sit down again and talk about partnering with you. And so that's going to be another avenue for us to reopen the conversation with the people who connect with the Wounded Warrior community and can sort of get us in that direction.
And I'm going to apologize in advance because this is my first time at the meeting. Okay, so if I ask a question that's not with the format, I just want to apologize. First of all, great job with the presentation, and I sense the passion behind what you're doing. What I did not receive was, why are you doing what you're doing? I know you want to help for the water sports, you want to create an opportunity for the disabled. What was your objective today? Is it just for communication, the vision, or are you looking for financial support, or?
I think both of those things. I think getting awareness of what we're doing and what kinds of difference, the impact it has on people in the disabled community, giving them an opportunity to get out and do something that they, and we've had people come to our events and they've said, you know, I never thought I could do something like this. And they were just so excited about being able to participate in something like that.
How are you marketing that then?
So that's a great question. We're still working on answering those questions. So right now, our primary way is we go to the events that are that the communities have, like the sportable events. Last weekend we were down at the beach at the Autism Summit. We had a booth there and we were communicating with the folks in that community and letting them know what kind of opportunities we could provide to them. So we do have face-to-face marketing when events are available. We also do a lot of word of mouth. Once our information gets out into the community, they let them know. We currently, our only online presence is our Facebook, so we're getting that information out as much as possible. That's about the range of our marketing right now.
Okay, and then how long have you guys had this vision? How long have you been working?
So about 3.5 years ago, this all started when the USO was doing a Warrior Week, and they were doing a variety of venues and sports activities for Wounded Warriors, and they brought in a adaptive water sports group from Pennsylvania. A lot of the folks who are currently part of our group came to volunteer and assist with that event, and that's kind of where we got the bug and saw the opportunity to say, hey, we love water skiing, we love the water sports community. Here's a really neat opportunity to expand the access to that community to people who didn't have it before. And so we just kind of, so the local group just kind of fed off of that, and we grew from there.
Okay, thanks.
Yes.
Are you getting your insurance through USA Water Skiing?
Yes,
Yes.
and it's very affordable.
So right. That's one of the reasons that that we're using them as because they are the governing body for all water sports. They also have insurance programs for affiliated clubs. Our organization is affiliated under that arrangement.
As far as, go ahead.
Sorry. Oh, you can go ahead.
I was saying, as far as the fundraising part, you know, we were thinking about trying to write grants. Well, that's a very specialized type thing. You might get it, you might not, spend a lot of time. So I think our focus is now going to be on larger corporate presence in this area that would feel good about having us affiliated with them. And so that's what we're hoping for, a few bigger sponsors and then the smaller ones.
So I had two questions. One was, you mentioned that you only got half the money you were hoping for.
Right.
So where do you guys think you can improve on that for the next year? And two, how much you said you did 8 events, how much does an event cost
Costs.
to
For
host
us.
it? Yeah.
Right, so there's overhead. So it depends on, for example, it depends on how much we're able to reimburse out-of-pocket costs for our volunteers, because there's a lot of that when it comes to, you know, the refreshments, the food, the fuel for the boats, any maintenance that we have to do to the equipment or the facilities. You know, we've got to cut the grass, we've got to maintain the. We have to provide porta potties. So we're still working on doing our post-season analysis to figure out exactly what the average cost was per event, so I don't have that number for you.
Okay.
Did you have another question, or was that it?
Fundraising.
Okay.
How are you going to improve that for the next coming year?
we're working on that.
So,
We're trying to get a presentation out for the corporate donors that we hope would support us.
one of the members of our board of directors is going to help us with targeting what we believe to be corporations that may be interested in supporting us, and so we'll just go out and we're going to direct contact them and just present our program and see who's interested in being part of that. Okay. Yes, sir.
Speaking of the corporations, why don't you look at who's on the board of directors and who's handicapped and who has handicapped kids? Because then you have
That's
the
a great
driving
idea.
force of why to do this.
That's a great, I'm not
I mean-
sure how we would gain that, where we
Google.
would get that visibility, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I would think you could Google the CEOs,
Okay,
plus
so-
handicap, you would pull up who's handicapped.
I like that. So as we go into our marketing strategy meeting, we'll definitely use that tactic, I guess. That's a good idea. Thank you.
Yeah, along those lines, have you thought about just knocking on doors of all the physical therapy areas, organizations
Good idea.
around here?
So,
Hospital systems, Riverside, Centerra's, all those things?
right, so, and we've met a lot of those people at these venues that we talked about, like, for example, CHKD, and there was another group that was affiliated with them that did physical therapy and occupational therapy, and we had good conversations with them on Saturday at the Autism Summit, and so we're trying to find inroads to those communities, absolutely, yes. Yes, sir.
You mentioned that during this past event, you noticed the invisible disabilities like the PTSD and the TBI. I used to work with adults with intellectual disabilities in group homes, and a lot of times the group home companies, the people that own the companies and the people that manage the homes are looking for events that they can connect the people in the home with, that it's not going to be too expensive, that they're going to have the right amount of staff on site to be able to support them. So if you found that to be a good outlet in the past, it might be worth Googling and seeing who are some of the larger group homes or the ID population and reaching out to them to kind of.
If you saw the film, there was the support services of Virginia. They've been out twice last year in this, and they just,
So we do have a good relationship with the leadership there at SSVA, and that's one of I think that's one of those organizations that you're talking about. And so I completely agree, that is a great potential place for us to
revenue generation, it's gonna be, we're following what is being demanded out there, and with all these groups coming in, they want day camps. So we're looking at day camps next summer for 8:30 to 3:30, 20 kids at a time, 4 days a week. Then the 5th day, we do special events, Saturday and Sunday special events. So it's got to be an income generating tool too. And that'll keep it going, but it's got to have the backbone of income. And so just started, these people want us big, I said, would you be interested in day camps? And the kids are going, And disabled day camps, we have the staff, we have all the equipment. And people walk around and say, this was never on my bucket list, I could never imagine it. The guy with no legs. Actually, he's got legs that are on backwards. And he walks like an alien. When I first saw him walk, I thought, oh, shit, it's kind of tough. And he got out there, and by the time it was over with, he was doing single starts by himself, cutting across the wake, and just having, everybody's hooting and hollering when people are coming back to shore.
Yeah, we're going to continue our relationship with him and the folks. He's with a wheelchair basketball group, and he's been bringing his friends out to the events. It's been really good, but he's got the potential to actually go beyond just recreational and get into competitive disabled water skiing. There is a huge movement across the water skiing community internationally for disabled water sports. And so those people who can compete, there are traditional 3-event tournaments that they participate in with slalom, tricks, and jump. And so we definitely have the ability to help somebody progress into that area if they're interested in going in that direction. And we think that this gentleman's got the ability and the interest to do that. So we're going to work with him.
He put a couple posts on Facebook. He said, listen, there's life. Show up, volunteer, or participate. That's it. Show up. And they just love it. And this guy still stands that tall. And he's just confident about everything. We have to structure for the future. We have to have prepare the site so they can get around in wheelchairs easier. Right. So we're looking at a floating dock system of ramps.
So I think somebody asked a question about, since we didn't reach our target goal, you know, what would we do if we had more money? That's a lot of it is facility improvement. We've been, you know, kind of getting by with, you know, a lot of workarounds when it comes to making it more accessible for people who are mobility challenged. And so we really need to make those improvements, those specific, some hardscaping, some dock building, some things that are more attuned with the needs of the disabled. Sir.
It seemed like you were talking about funding happening from one source and then the community that you're serving being like a totally unaffiliated source. Are there any organizations that are already serving the disabled community that have great funding that would be someone you would think about possibly partnering with, and they would just sort of take you under their wing and be another element of what they're already doing?
I don't know. I'd love to know the answer to that question myself, because we would definitely love to have a relationship with those people. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, following what Chris just said and what you just said a minute ago with, you know, needing dock building, and it's making me think, you need someone to sponsor the dock and name the
Yes.
dock, and they build the dock, or they raise funds for the dock, you know? There are companies that would love that,
Yes.
individuals.
I wanted to make the introduction to Nate over here. Raise your hand, Nate, if you would. He presented last week, and what he's doing is teaching folks around the world that don't know how to swim and to stay afloat, to do that with water safety aspect. But I think there's certainly some things that maybe some ideas y'all can exchange that
Yeah, sure, synergy.
possibly have a lot of
Great.
overlap and help each other with.
Are you putting any advertisements on your boats? I mean, along her lines, I mean, you could put someone's name out there, make them proud about who they are, they might sponsor you. I mean, what's the long term, if you're getting really a day camp with different handicap groups, why aren't you advertising one group to the other so you can cross just a sign out there? Go to a sign maker and ask them to donate it.
Right, so at our facility, there's a large privacy fence that borders one side of our, and part of our thought process was that becomes advertising space.
Yeah.
People who want to sponsor and people who want to be part of the group. So we're thinking along those lines. We're not there yet.
We're a work in process.
Even the basketball guy, ask him if he can put some names up there, because look, no one wants to be first. You get the first one on there, you put a second one on there, give the first two away for free. They're just a sticker, peel them off and slap the next one on when you get a paid person. I mean, honestly, people never want to be first. If you're first and you put a sign up, add a couple names to it. All these, your ski people, you might get them to give you free insurance. You slap their name on this program. I mean, it can't hurt to ask.
Right. And also, as we've got our design in for what we want to put on our website when we have that built, which includes, you know, providing recognition of sponsors and people who are supporting us. So we're moving in that direction. We're not there yet. Those are great ideas. Thank you.
We have a lot of space for logos. On our sit skis, and these things are that wide and that tall. It's an easy.
I have one in the parking lot if anyone wants to look at it later. Some of the equipment that we use.
You don't have an age limit, I assume, right? Like the lower age limit, kids?
No.
Okay.
No.
Because there is a center, Brain Balance Center, actually, they gave a presentation here, I think last year or so. They work with kids with mental disabilities, slight mental disabilities most of the time.
So, yeah, so when it comes to minors, as long as they have adult representation and consent, then we're able to provide support for everybody.
We'd like for them to be able to swim, or at least
Preferable.
But, you know, a lot of times we put life jackets on them and give them a kayak or a noodle or something to play in the water.
Yeah.
And that's how you get over the fear.
So we iterate through those.
Because their program is mostly related to sports and activities and social
We had
activities.
severe autism out there. They had no communication skills, wheelchair bound.
Yeah.
And we had one person spina bifida. I was our side skier that day, and she ingested some water. You know, we hold her up and make sure she's okay. I said, you want to get back? You want to get back in the boat and go back to shore? She says, no, let's go. Let's go. Spitting out water. I mean, it's for courage. You see some of these kids.
Where is the lake that you guys operate on, and is that your own private space?
Yes, it's private lake. Dallas actually owns all the recreational rights to that lake, as well as a certain percentage of the shoreline. That's where we have our site. You saw the pictures of the little peninsula. It is in Virginia Beach, in between Wichita Road and Baker Road.
About a mile that way. You can see town center at the tower, from our dock, and it's unique. It is unique, this peninsula. You can have privacy. Not a lot of people around you. You can control the environment. We have one cove, we put kayaks, or paddleboards, kayaks. And had, chariots of fire playing while we had a little paddleboard race. Kids going in circles half the time because they didn't know what they're doing. And then the other side will have, usually keep the rest of the lake for the boats, but now I'm looking at putting up wakeboard towers. 2 of them, just for beginner wakeboarding. And I've got a nice little 300 to 400 foot run, and with a single tower system, you can get devices out there, have tournaments. I'm always thinking, but maybe thinking too much.
So probably the two greatest benefits from having the lake, number one is the fact that there is no other boat traffic, and so the safety factor is just enormous. And the second thing is it's really a pristine lake. It's a very clean lake, and so just the environment there is just excellent for the type of things that we're doing. Yes, sir.
Have you thought about asking equipment suppliers to donate their equipment in exchange for advertising?
Yeah, these guys are so small. There's all these custom skis and stuff, and they say, y'all need to get the advertising to buy the equipment from us because we are a very small outfit.
Right.
But
So
they can put anybody's logo on the skis.
Yeah. So we have talked to.
That's why they're small, because they won't advertise.
Well, it's a niche market, too. It's just not a huge volume, and so their margins are very small. So, but we have talked to them, tried to work things out, and tried to do the best we can as far as getting them to support us. But there's just only so much that they can do with their business model. Yes, sir.
Have you been in touch with the Special Olympics around here?
With Special Olympics?
Yeah.
Not per se.
Not with the organization, though. Some of their participants, yes.
Okay, I used to volunteer for the swimming program,
Right.
and Jim Brinkman was here last week. He coached the Special Olympics swim team for 25 years. Was one of the head coaches of USA's Special Olympic team. Went to Ireland and China. He basically knows every single person with special needs that swims around here. And I guess my point is they already know how to swim right, but I don't think any of them have certainly not been on the water.
Okay, so you think that's a good crossover?
Yeah, I think it's
opportunity?
Give us the contact information.
You got it.
That's great. Yes, sir.
How about the handicapped divers? Have you looked at like dive centers?
We haven't, no, I haven't talked to any of the dive folks as far as.
You should ask Lenny Haven Dive Center if they got handicapped groups that they can come over.
We, Team River Runner, which is a national organization for disabled vets on paddle sports, kayaks, stand-up paddle boards and so forth. Well, they want to blend into us because they haven't had a participant in 2 years. And that part of the community is waning. But he wants to give us all his equipment and go by their structure. So we'll keep them separate, but yes, we'll do it. Just got to get a 20 or 30 foot container to put all their stuff in. And that's another advertising thing you can put on there. They're very well organized. We just joined Hampton Road, Volunteer Hampton Roads. Have a meeting with them on Friday, Veterans Day. And they have supposedly a lot of connections and help us feel through all this, because we definitely help. We know what we're doing on the water. People just are amazed at how we work things around. It's, tag teams, side skiers, boat drivers, pin people, rescue personnel, and then watching the kids. So we know that the demand is there. They just didn't know it. Nobody knew it existed until you showed up. And so I'm hoping we can expand Team River Runner and have coordinated with us.
Well, there's also the Surfers Heal group. Are you affiliated with them as well?
I went to a USO banquet, or a round table for the Danish embassy. They're trying to start a wounded poor program there also. And she was one of the participants there. And we talked afterwards. She said, "You're not going to get any funds from people. It has to be all corporate, because otherwise you're just wasting your time." But she's been around 8 years.
Well, I'm just saying that Surfers Hill goes around the country,
Yeah.
and they would have the corporate support, I assume. to tie in with you.
Mhm. Yeah, we do, weight surfing.
Have you thought about like a crowdfunding, GoFundMe or a Kickstarter or anything like that? It seems there's, you can get all the donations of skis that you want, but there's no substitute for cash.
Right.
So
we do have a GoFundMe, but
They haven't been very.
I think awareness is our challenge there, making sure people know about it and getting more exposure to the community. I mean, there are a lot of people who've been in the community a long time, didn't know that lake existed. I've heard that comment more than once, even today. So, right, so awareness is really our biggest challenge in the area, so we're gonna try and work on that. Yes, sir.
Have you got any luck from the TV stations, the radio stations, as far as free advertising?
Not yet.
Nope. And I know a couple of the announcers on Channel 3, and,
That's the wrong people.
yeah, evidently
You
so.
call the people up, higher up.
Right.
Because, they give away their TV spots if they can't sell them.
So, that sounds like a great
Yeah, it does.
venue that we need to look into as far as getting more. But yeah, we need to find some media support as well to get, like I said, awareness is a big challenge, and we want to address that as we move through the planning phases for next year. Yes.
Do you have any winter or fall or spring activities, or is it just limited?
Really. So right now we are limited to just the warm weather.
Well, in
So-
winter we get some warm weather. I mean, like 70s.
We were skiing last Christmas.
Hard to
Okay.
plan ahead for that. So our core group will stay together and we'll work on facilities. We'll do off-season maintenance and work on any kind of training or requirements that we have. So those are so it's really our rebuilding time for the cadre of volunteers that we have that are really shouldering most of the load.
Also, like, do you have a Facebook or a network?
We are on Facebook.
So
and
you can communicate with them very rapidly, I assume.
Yes. We'll put a blip out, we'll see the weather being nice on the weekend, so on Tuesday I'll put a blip out on Facebook, let's do an event. And they just start showing up. And, sometimes it's been amazing, there's new people, they're all connected, they're like one big family. And this one girl, Rebecca, who was on her bachelorette party down in Sand Bridge, best friend pushed her in the pool, broke her neck, quadriplegic. And we got her on the ski, and she had no grip, but she had reverse flexion, and she had a bicep that would work. So we got practiced on land, how she could do it, and she was able to ski on her own. And she sent us a video of it, and really just a lot of uplifting comments from her, but she never imagined that she could do it, how proud she was of herself. And the mother and the baby, she did get married, and they acclimated into the disabled society, and you just see so many different types. You just go, wow, look at that.
So we always like to ask you at the end, what can 1 million cups do for you?
Give us money. And we can continue. Give us connections. That would be very good. And just let us go on our own and try to see what we can do. That's the main thing.
So the group has given us some good ideas, some seeds for some improvement in our action plan. So we're going to take those back to our group and see what we can do about incorporating some of those good ideas as well. So thank you.
Great, well, thanks for coming. We have a cup for your next 1 million cups of
Oh, that's
coffee.
great. You already had me on.
Pass it on.
I need one.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you all.
I forgot to mention that we're